talk you through an exercise that I do every now and again, just to kind of reignite sometimes some of the creative spark that I need sometimes a little bit of intervention. So one way of doing that is to have a look through your former kind of research books, your sketchbook. For some people, this will be notebooks which have got like little scribblings and annotations and drawings. For other people, they'll be completely finished books. The exercise of making a sketchbook, in fact there's a whole kind of movement called sketchbooking. The exercise of making a sketchbook is the artwork in itself. So I know that some of you have found it a little bit difficult just to get going. That's absolutely fine, but by looking at previous drawings, previous scribblings, previous notes, musings, insight into your headspace before, it sometimes triggers something else. In Valencia for 4 years. I kept like a little notebook, and what I liked to do was to kind of find things as I travelled around, or if I was reading a particular book, to kind of take out excerpts from the book. And at that particular time I was reading A Road Less Travelled, I don't know if you know it, by Scott Peck. So there's a little quote here from that. I lived the composition. So then I moved to Valencia, and these bits here are like paint sort of chippings that I found. So what I really loved about Valencia was that it was really layered. It was an old fascinating city, but there were so many layers to it, and I wanted to kind of get that feeling by using sort of bits of paper, transparent paper, then drawing, and using, I think it was this like a lecture set that I found or I made. Okay, this is one of my, so these are all like chippings and glue. So my sketchbooks tend to be a bit mixed media, because that's kind of, I jump through ideas. There are these amazing trees in Valencia that have massive roots, and the bark is like they're really softwood, so this bark would kind of crumble off. It was everywhere. So, and this kind of colour, this grey, blue-grey colour, was definitely kind of part of the overall colour scheme of the city. And then, like mini sketches from my balcony. So a sketchbook doesn't have to be, full of drawings, but if you find that if you were looking out of a window, you do 360 degrees, and every single angle there's something different going on. So you can always turn anything into a little bit of an experiment or an exercise in drawing. This is really lovely. So they had like this religious ceremony once a year, where they would take a big statue of Mary through the streets of Valencia Old Town, which is called El Carmen, and then they would throw petals at it. So these are all the kind of petals and things that I collected, and this is sort of obviously the crown or whatever. So this was just kind of like a glimpse into the way that I have used my sketchbooks as a kind of recollection or a memory a way of holding on to memories that kind of, if I look at them again, I'm back there and I'm triggered to be in that place. So this is quite a mini sort of sketchbook. But yeah, it has a bit of a Spanishy feel to it. Yeah. So I've also discovered that sometimes I can be fairly organised, even like in weekly steps to my work. So this is always a great insight when you can't remember what you were thinking. So this sketchbook is quite written, actually. Yes. It's Japanese art, perspective drawing, and then obviously it becomes a bit looser. So these are just like experiments. More experiments, more letraset. Oh, I love letraset. I don't know if I've got any though. I loved it. A little bit of life drawing. See? Sketchbook's got, it's bonkers, my sketchbook. And even a few little kitty monkey drawings in there. I like that though. I love finding those. Yeah. So, yeah. Another one. Looking over previous sketchbooks and things that you've produced will bring something out for you and hopefully give you a little bit of inspiration into some kind of work that you can progress through with. It can just be one sketchbook, you know, and then you look at a drawing and you might particularly like that style of drawing and then decide you'd like to practice a little bit more of that style of drawing. Or it might be that you see something where there's lots of ink splatters and you quite fancy having a go at doing something quite intuitive. So you take the exercise the way you want to, but definitely use the resources that you have to produce something new. So